Welcome to the High Jumper Pod with your host, Addy Blaze.
This is that shit that you like.
Lillard, long range three, and it's good!
NBA GOAT sellout. After more than a decade of fucking mediocrity, Jordan sells the Hornets. Find out to who and for how much next. Playing with guns, you get 25 games in the NBA. Find out what Morant had to say about his 25-game suspension. Real deal, Bradley Beal goes to the Suns on a real shitty deal for the Wizards. Wizards fuck up yet again. Let's talk about this and much more, including in-depth NBA rebuilds in our in-depth analysis on today's jam-packed show.
Worst winning percentage in NBA history.
After over a decade of mediocrity since Michael Jordan's purchase of the Charlotte Hornets, the team has struggled tremendously. During the exciting time of the team's purchase back in 2010, the city of Charlotte felt blessed. The GOAT of basketball was going to own a professional team in their city. The city losing their team years earlier thanks to NBA expansions, the Hornets took a trip to New Orleans, loved the fucking gumbo and beignets, and said fuck off to Charlotte. The city of Charlotte, salty as fuck, after their team had been taken away and becoming the New Orleans Pelicans, had seen this as a great opportunity, a breath of fresh air. We're not only getting a basketball team, but it's going to be owned by the one and only Michael Jordan. Everything seemed beautiful and peachy for Charlotte, including naming the team from the Bobcats back to its original name of the Charlotte Hornets. But all would come crumbling down as Michael proved himself to be worthy of being one of the worst NBA owners in franchise history. Hornets had lost more games since him coming into office, being the head of basketball operations and owner of the Hornets, thanks to being plagued by terrible draft choices and even more irreversible and incomprehensible bad trades that led to over a 10-year rebuild that saw the Hornets making the playoffs one time back when Jeremy Lin was on the team and the Hornets lost in a 7-game series to Miami back in 2014-2015 season. After so many speculations about the team being sold, it has finally happened. MJ sold the team for roughly $3 billion, yes, billion, after being purchased in 2010 for roughly $174 million. Yes, M with a million. Michael sold to a group led by Gabe Plotkins, a hedge fund founder who had already owned a minority stake in the Hornets, and a gentleman by Rick Schnall, a private equity firm president who owns a minority stake in the Atlanta Hawks. The buying group also includes rapper J. Cole and country music artist Eric Church, both of whom are North Carolina natives. Hopefully, after a damn shakeup of the front office, the Hornets could get their shit together. As a matter of fact, I don't think the team has ever had their shit together. But holding this year's number 2 pick in this year's draft could see luck heading Charlotte's way. Up next, Ja Morant gets the page thrown at him as the Memphis Grizzlies will receive 25 in-game suspensions during the start of the regular season for the 2023-2024 campaign. After his first offense and appearance on IG showing the dumbass playing with guns, Morant only served an 8-game suspension after his first incident. That was clearly not enough, as the Grizzlies All-Star literally less than 2 months later is seen doing the exact same shit. After the NBA Finals, where the Denver Nuggets were crowned NBA champions, League Commissioner and NBA Warden Adam Silver has seen enough and gave the reckless dumbass a 25-game suspension. Here is what Ja had to say about the matter. I've had time to reflect and realize how much hurt I've caused. I want to apologize to the NBA, the Grizzlies, and my teammates and the city of Memphis. To Adam Silver and Zach Kleiman, Robert Parra, who gave me the opportunity to be a professional athlete and have supported me. I'm sorry for the harm I have done to the kids who look up to me. I'm sorry for failing you as a role model. I promise I'm going to be better to my sponsors. I'm going to be a better representation to our brands. And to my fans, I'm going to make it up to you. I promise. I'm spending the off-season and my suspension continuing to work on my own mental health and decision making. I'm also going to be training so that I'm ready to get back on the court. I know my teammates are going to hold it down, and I'm sorry I won't be there at the beginning of the season. I hope you'll give me the chance to prove to you over time I'm a better man than I am showing you. Better words could not have been said by the young man. Will 25 games prove to be enough for the gangster wannabe? Or will he go back to his street-molded hard ways of flashing toy guns for stupid bitches on IG? Up next.
Guys, had 35 wins last year and then 35 wins this year. What's your reaction to kind of not taking a step forward?
I mean, it's disappointing for sure. You know, we had high goals and expectations for ourselves, and we fell well short of that.
Wow. The Wizards truly shit the bed again. The shipwreck of a franchise seems to be moving towards a rebuild after a team traded away the over-glorified role player of Bradley Beal and three-time All-Star that led the team nowhere in the last 2 years on his own. After the shit show brought to you by Tommy Shepard, where the team struggled to find camaraderie and players were traded due to fit, the following offseason brought more of the same fucking shit. More disappointment as more players were brought in that didn't fit the mold next to each other and saw the Wizards stay as stagnant as the year before. A fucking terrible trade that had Rui Hachimura sent to the Lakers on nightmarish returns, where the team gifted Rui to the Lakers and got in return a G League player in Kendrick Nuns and 5 second-round picks for the Wizards to laugh over. After the firing of sorry-ass GM Tommy Shepard, Wizard fans thought maybe that could lead to better things to come. Absolutely not. New GM Will Duncan seems just or as incompetent. After his first trade and the most important trade for the team, the Brad Beal trade that is supposed to bring assets to the team to allow a prosperous rebuild, is no longer possible, no longer a thing. As General Dumbass gave the star away for nothing, the Suns received the player they wanted, Bradley Beal, and the Wizards got fleeced again, as the Wizards received pick swaps and 4 second-round picks, as they were rewarded sorry-ass Landry Shamet and services of ancient Chris Paul. What a package. What a great package that seemingly fits so well in the sheets where Wizards GMs and coaches shit and piss on the sheets all the time. Brace for impact, Wizards fans, as we stand by you here at HJP Studios, because it will be a bumpy motherfucking ride. Next up. Taking W's or receiving big fat fucking sloppy L's. It's all part of every team's history. Some teams winning more than others. Other teams can't seem to win shit and put the right pieces at the right time together. But at least once in every team's history, there has been a rebuild in the mix. From the Miamis to Cleveland, San Francisco, California, and the Boston Celtics, all teams that have successfully rebuilt and has seen tremendous success in the process. With mixed emotions from all fans involved in the rebuild process, rebuilding can be a sad but yet exciting time for any franchise, as vets that fans grew fond of take the fuck off and leave and give way to new exciting players with great potential and youth take their place. All these things are done in the art of winning, in the beliefs that making smarter selections during the draft can lead to much brighter futures ahead. And with trades that make sense, it could very well be the perfect recipe for perfection or disaster, as we have spoken before. We're going to touch base on this and much more in our in-depth analysis segment coming up, when we will smoke some weed, talk some shit, make some cocktails, and have some fun. Let's get into it, my motherfucking peeps. Welcome everybody to the High Jumper Pod and our deep analysis section, segment of the show where we go into an in-depth analysis of what we basically talked about the show. We'll have a whole segment where we smoking weed and talking some shit. But once more, I'm your host, Daddy Blaze. This is my beautiful wife.
Hi, I'm Celicia Yanez, and it's a pleasure being here on episode 2 of the High Jumper Pod.
Yeah, episode 2 of the High Jumper Pod. So the main segment or part of the show today is going to be rebuild segment. It's going to be super fun. Where we're going to be talking about anything rebuild related. We have a lot of exciting news as far as like players and maybe where some franchises are heading. But before we get started, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Super excited about the draft. So excited to see who the Blazers pick, and that they're number 3, right? Number 3 pick.
Yeah, 3. Yep, 3rd pick. I'm really hoping the team doesn't draft like anybody. I'm hoping that they trade the pick away and get a good player. Someone that could really help them now.
But you don't think that there's anybody like that has enough talent like that they could actually bring to the Blazers? 'Cause I feel like they really need like a defensive player.
For sure. They also need like a good another primary ball handler. I know Anthony's good as far as that aspect, but he just falters so much on the defensive end. It makes it kind of hard to compensate in that area. So I'm really hoping that we kind of materialize something before the draft starts and get it popping. And it really just depends on what Charlotte does with their pick, because I think a lot of it weighs down on whether the Blazers get Scoot Henderson or not. Which this kid is just unbelievable. But he has his faults. At this point, like in his career, he wouldn't be able to help Dame right now.
Well, I know the Charlotte Hornets just got sold because, my man, J. Cole bought the team. Well, I mean, he didn't buy the team, but he is a part owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you think that new leadership is gonna affect, how Charlotte picks before?
No, because as a matter of fact, Jordan is actually still in charge of that process.
Okay. Until
July the 1st.
Okay, that makes sense. Yep. So, how are you?
I'm good.
How are you feeling about episode 2?
I'm feeling great. It's been a long process in the making. We've been wanting to do something like this for a long time, so it's just super exciting to not just overcome episode 1, but roll right into episode 2, where we're gonna have a ton of fun. And we smoking a pink blunt over here. That's a little. All right, we got our rose petal blunt.
These are actually some of my favorite wraps. They're called the Blunts and Roses, and they're made out of actual rose petals. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a really floral taste whenever you're smoking your herb.
And it goes good with the cocktail.
Yeah, speaking of cocktails, this is beautiful. Addie did a great job of setting these up for us. What are we drinking tonight?
We got some Bee's Knees. It's a classic gin cocktail. It's super simple. Consists of just a couple, actually 3 ingredients exactly. You need a shaker and some ice. You put some honey simples, a little bit of gin. Well, for us, it's a whole lot of gin, and some lemon juice. Squeeze pretty much a whole lemon in there. That's how we get that nice little discoloration in the gin.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a lemon drop martini.
It does, doesn't it? It's just no vodka. But did you know like the original martini's actually like made with gin? Like a lot of people think it's vodka.
Yeah, no, I actually knew that. Whenever I used to work at the steakhouse, that's how like majority of their martinis were made, unless somebody asked
For like
something else.
A vodka martini.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty here. As far as some stuff that we have going in the league. Fred VanVleet, your boy opted out of his contract.
VanVleet.
So, I'm kind of curious as
I
far
think
as
it's
like,
gonna hurt him. I don't think that he's gonna.
he didn't have the best season
I don't
this
think
year.
he's
I
gonna
think
get a
you're
better
right.
deal. I don't think he's gonna get a better contract than what he has already.
I agree. But I mean, I don't know. There's some teams that need a point guard. Like before this, like terrible trade here by the Wizards. I thought that maybe Fred VanVleet could have been somebody that the Wizards could have maybe gone after. I honestly think that Freddie VanVleet would have made a better fit in Phoenix than Brad Beal. And people just like, some people don't really agree with me, but I honestly do think that would have been a better move. I think that as far as like a ball handler, I do think that Fred is a better ball handler than Devin Booker. I think he's more of a true point guard, because that's who I believe is going to be the point guard, because there's no way it could be Beal. Like I'm honestly thinking that they're going to take turns at this point, all three of them maybe running the offense a little bit between Kevin Durant, Brad Beal, and Devin Booker. But that's an issue. We have Los Angeles 2.0 almost with the Russell Westbrook situation and LeBron, and like that's part of the reason why D'Angelo Russell ain't happy. Like he don't feel like he had he shares the ball too much with LeBron. Like, and I never thought like
It's about to happen. You're on a team with LeBron James. Like,
my boy's just got that mind.
even if you
man.
don't know basketball, you know the name LeBron James. Like,
Well, yeah, for sure. But it's not just that. In a deeper aspect of like basketball itself, like LeBron James is basically a point guard. Let's be honest. Like for years, LeBron James averaged 7-8 assists per season, and he's always been a fantastic passer, a great a passer of the basketball. He's great when he's running to the rim, trying to score at the rack. He's great at doing that. He's always struggled as far as like shooting, but that's not the point. We ain't talking about LeBron. We're talking about some of these rebuilds. And right now it's very obvious the Wizards are rebuilding.
Right.
They traded Kristaps Porzingis.
well, we just started this off season, so it's like the perfect time to start a rebuild.
Yep. Right now we actually live as far as like the draft. The draft is actually about to start. So
At the time that we're recording this.
yeah, absolutely. At the time that we're recording this, so I actually got my boys. Shout out to Blazers Uprise. I'm watching them right now live, and they're covering it all for me now that I can't watch it on the television.
So, how do you think that these like managers and these GMs think about like going into this rebuilding process? Because like, essentially, you're starting with a skeleton team. Now you're having to like build up again.
That's tricky. I mean, I don't know. Like for some owners, it's like, all right, let's talk about the Wizards. Like, I am so surprised that the Wizards are finally rebuilding. They got rid of Brad Beal. Terrible trade. I mean, there was just, I saw it was like 6 second-round picks, 4 first-round pick swaps, which, like, you have Brad Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, and possibly DeAndre Ayton still on the team. Like, my God, dude, that team is not, like, those picks aren't going to be worth shit. Like, you're talking about, like, late first-round picks. Like, at best.
Man, you are not playing with the gin and the string.
Oh, I'm telling you, yeah, These are strong. These are slow slippers. So slippers.
Slow slippers.
Slow sippers. But yeah, no. So like that's the thing. So like those picks aren't gonna be worth that much. Like your picks are like you're basically giving them higher picks because you're swapping with them. So like if you're going into a rebuild where your players are younger, less experienced, and losing games, essentially at a certain part of the process on purpose. I mean, shit, it's never on purpose at that point. Like unless you have talented players, like you know what the Blazers are doing, what the Mavericks did the last like 10 or 15 games of the season, like to try to get a pick. Like those are like teams that like shit in like NBA terminology, like tanking. Motherfuckers are trying to lose, but in an aspect of like these guys are trying to win. They just can't put it all together. Lack of experience. Some guys don't turn out to be as good as they were expected to be. And then next thing you know, like you're giving away like possible like third, fourth, first, second, you know, like picks. Like the third overall pick, fourth overall pick because you made this swap that was like moronic. I don't understand it. What was the point of making this swap? You're giving away like crazy good picks, dude. Like what the fuck? And so that was like super shocking. This Kristaps Porzingis trade, they did get, you know, Tyus Jones. You know, the first trade was fucking horrendous. Oh my god. It was like literally Kristaps Porzingis and they'd get like Marcus Morris back. And the Celtics would ship out Brogdon, and apparently like Malcolm Brogdon's injury status is worrisome for the Clippers. So they wind up pulling back, and they didn't want to make the deal anymore. But we're talking about like you got Chris Paul back for the Beal trade. Now you got Tyus Jones. That was a decent trade. I don't think the picks have been finalized quite yet, but. You know what was crazy? A couple minutes before we recorded the podcast, Chris Paul got traded to the Golden State Warriors for Jordan Poole.
Wasn't there some talk like about him wanting to go to
that
the
is
Golden State Warriors?
That's redeemable. That fucking Bradley Beal trade was as bad as like talking about Blazers like shit, like essentially like this is called retooling because like it's not like a full-on rebuild, but like essentially like in a sense of the word, like the Blazers are also rebuilding. Like the trade where the Blazers got rid of Norman Powell and Robert Covington. And like, yeah, Robert Covington is essentially, a shell of what he used to be. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, his drop-off has been insane. But, like, at the time, nobody thought, like, or knew that was going to happen. And Norman Powell was, like, literally on the verge of, like, scoring just about 20 points a game. And it was a terrible trade. Literally, we could have gotten all those things without giving away Robert Covington. I'm being serious. Like, it was done to match salaries at the point.
Not a good trade.
No, it was a ridiculously bad fucking trade. It was a bad fucking trade. We could have gotten a lot of that done just with Norman Powell. We didn't have to get all those returns, back. Like, then we didn't do shit with Eric Bledsoe. Like, that was just fucking stupid move. Like, now, like, essentially, like, talking, like, a financial point of view, like, it makes it that much harder to actually rebuild because now you have, like, what they call dead money in the books. Because you still having to pay this fool, after you fucking waive him, like, you still having to pay Eric Bledsoe not to play for you.
Right, to sit on the bench.
Sit on the bench? He playing, like, somewhere in China. He got cut by the Blazers, straight up.
Oh, so they just like...
They're just eating the money, dog.
They just said, we just don't want you on the team?
We just don't want you on the team. We can't
Is
trade
he
you,
paid in China?
Yeah, so he's probably getting paid he is getting paid in China, and then he's getting, there's, like, I'm not too sure how that...
I wonder how that is to, like, play basketball.
In another country.
In another country, yeah. I think that'd be so fucking cool.
It's
I don't really play basketball like that, but...
That would just be an experience.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, there's some players that, like, stay
overseas.
I wonder if it's like different, you know, like as far as like the fan base and like the sportsmanship and kind of like the, I would say like the atmosphere of the game. I wonder if it's like different compared to like the United States.
You know, that's like a super good question. Like, I don't know, some of these guys, like, you know, you talk about like international stars like Luka, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, you know, some of these guys, like, shit, dude, they talk about like playing for their country, like it's like, you know, like that's it, you know, and I'm sure like their fans, like, fuck, like, you know, there was like segments of like the finals where they would cut to like what was going on in like Jokic's country, and like it's like 3 a.m.
And everybody, I guarantee you,
Papa,
was
dude,
up
there's like a whole fucking
cheering
room of
on
people
that
cheering
man,
and fucking
like-
shit, like, you know, just watching. And talk about just like a sport that's like grown so much, and we kind of like touch bases on this.
I feel
on
like
episode 1.
basketball is like, I mean, you know, I may be wrong because like I'm not super into like, I'm more into like the NBA side of things versus any other sports.
Right.
But I do feel like the NBA is like worldwide, you know, like
Yeah.
it's like much
Well,
more
soccer's
international
worldwide too. I mean,
than
shit,
like baseball or football per se, you know.
I think that a part of that is correct and fair to say. I think a lot of it, because like there's a lot of baseball going on internationally, especially like in South America, like a lot of fucking baseball. I think basketball's caught like a lot of traction in the last like 6 or 7 years, like a lot, and like having countries like, you know, the United States, like, yeah, shit, you like rooting for like USA and shit, like in the Olympics, like, fuck, that's a given, you know, we're from here. But like, is it good for other countries to dominate the sport as well? Like, for the sport itself? Yes, dude, it is so good. That's why like soccer is like such a, because not only one country dominates, you know, like, yeah, you have Brazil and like, you know, Argentina and Germany and Spain and, you know, Italy that are like, you know, the stronger countries, but it's like football.
You know,
Any given Sunday.
I wish there was like international teams like integrated into the NBA, like a super finals, like after the NBA finals, it was like a super international.
They kind of
finals.
like
That'd be
do that
kinda
with
cool,
like
yeah.
the Olympics,
Yeah.
but like I wish like more countries were involved.
That's true.
Like,
It is like the Olympics.
It is
right?
but no, but like I see
was
what
over
you're
here
saying.
thinking I came up with a whole new idea. And
No,
it's
shit.
the Olympics.
Yo, well, shit, yeah, but like I think like what you're kind of saying is like having like club teams, like, you know, but like, man, like at that point, like they're like the
Right,
NBA 's,
I'd like
trying
to see just like international teams playing regularly, like you know,
5
as regularly as we see.
Argentinian teams that are in the NBA, and like 5 Mexican, you know, teams, and like Puerto
Which I
Rican
get it.
teams,
It's like
and
worldwide travel, like international travel.
would be like a
is,
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't
I'm
be
sure
able
that's
to do
probably
it
why
with-
we don't get like
yeah.
more of that.
Like we wouldn't be able to do like, we'd be able to do like America, like the America Cup or some shit like that, like where like Canadian teams would play American teams and then like South American teams would play.
Yeah.
Like that would make sense, and even some of those
And
flights, like
Mexico.
from like, well, that would be like Canada and
like-
Mexico would be like the easiest, but like once you get like past like Colombia, oh my god, those flights I'm sure are fucking insane, jet or not. Like that, like I'm sure that that's why. But you know, shit, like I'm all over the place. But
I
like,
know. Like,
it's exciting. But look, I do think that the league is kind of trending that way because they're trying to like essentially like build a stadium in like in New Mexico, not New Mexico, but Mexico City, and play some games in Mexico City. So like that would be kind of like trending towards that direction, if you know what I'm saying. But
yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, and who knows? Maybe in the future we will see some of that like integration with like Canadian teams and like Mexican teams and like
Panamanian teams,
Right,
and Venezuelan or Colombian teams,
You know,
right?
I
Like,
would
even
love to
like the
see it.
Caribbean, you know, like Cuba, you know, like shit, like basketball's calling a lot of traction out of Cuba, like, you know, like you know, me being Cuban, like, it's, you know, I naturally grew up playing baseball. My dad was, like, a huge fan of baseball. Like, that's just, like, the country's, like, nationally strong, like, sport. That's, like, you know what, like, a lot of people grow up playing. Volleyball is another thing that Cubans really dominate in, and we don't get a lot of credit. And, like,
You know, I feel like volleyball is such an exciting sport,
Fuck
and
yeah.
like it doesn't get the type of like audience that it should get.
I agree. I agree. And, you know, just talking about audience, like, WNBA, they've grown so much. But they need more, dude. Like, they need more support. They need more. You know, like, we've started watching some WNBA games. And, man, some of those games are just as exciting as, like, an NBA game. But if that trade that I'm talking to you about, the Chris Paul trade, you know, if that's all finalized and goes through, Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones, that's a pretty decent backcourt. I feel like with that, that's the team trending in the right direction. You know, and I don't feel bad for what I said in the breaking news segment. Like, it was a fucking terrible trade, dude. Like, you should have gotten, like, actually some, like, it's like, see, like, this is what happens. Like, where do you want to go? And we stop thinking about, like, the team.
Right.
Like, fuck, dude, why wasn't a third team involved in that shit where, like, the Wizards could have gotten, like, somebody else, like a young player, just like they did with Jordan Poole, just like they did with Tyus Jones. Like, and it's like, and even like that, like the timeline's a little staggered, so I wonder how that's gonna work. And they also have Kyle Kuzma, which just opted out of his contract for $13 million. It's like a mid-level exception. That's like what that type of money is. And I do think that he's a little better than mid-level exception type of money. But he's going to be asking for like $18, $19 million. 20. Shit, man, be careful. If not, fucking $25 million. It's ridiculous. I don't think that'd be an overpay. Not a massive overpay, but I think that'd be an overpay for what Kyle Kuzma does. But we just got to see what the Wizards are going to essentially do. They are rebuilding. We're going to see, like I said, Jordan Poole and Tyus Jones it's trending in the right direction. You know, I was fucking Grizzlies, like Marcus Smart. Like, what the fuck was that?
So, what do you think that they're like looking for whenever they're recruiting, whenever they're going through this process of rebuilding? Do you think they're looking for like talent, or if they're like a good fit for the team, or like, do you think that they're just like looking out for their future, like their future team?
Like future assets? Is that what you're talking about? Like draft picks and compensation like
yeah,
that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. I personally, I would look for, you know, more camaraderie. Like, if we're really, you know, talking about like
looking for like a good fit.
Absolutely.
So
Like, look at what's going on with the Nuggets. It's Jokic, you know, and Jamal. Like, fuck, dude, he's so good. And he is going to be an all-star soon. I sense it. But he's not an all-star yet. Like, it's Jokic and, like, essentially, like, you know, one very good player and then a bunch of, like, good players. You know, like, it's not like a big three, Jokic, Luka and James Harden and the, like, it's not something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, Phoenix, Kevin Durant, fucking Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, the big three. Like, look at Miami, Jimmy Butler. You know, you could put the same thing as the Nuggets. Then you could put, you know, you put Bam Adebayo there. You know, the same thing, Jokic, and then you could put Jamal in there. You know, and then everybody else. Like, and those were the two teams that were in the final. It's about fit. It's about, you know, standing up for each other. You know, fucking with each other. Like, shit, that's what it's really about. Like, but a lot of teams, you know, I feel like the perfect rebuild would essentially be like give away the goods, the superstar if you have one, the all-star, the good vets, give them away for future compensation, obviously something right now, like I need something right now, and that right now has to be either a draft pick for the immediate year, like you need to give me a draft pick for this season, like just your first round pick, you need to give it to me. And if not that, like not a first rounder, like because you don't have it, but I need a very good young, talented player back. Somebody that if they click could lead my franchise. And then shit, we just we see what happens with the picks. Maybe it wasn't the guy that we traded the vet away. The young star, not the young star, but the young guy that might become a star. It might not be him, but it might be one of these picks that I got. Mm-hmm. Like you always have
one of the future picks.
One of the future picks, like, and that goes with like having a good squad that is connected and united, and the recruitment team is in the same page as like what the rest of the franchise wants to do, and it's not about saving money, because like, and that's what I don't get. What the fuck was going on with the Wizards? Like Ted Leonis is like cheap as fuck, dude. He reminds me of Jody Allen's, like, and then he goes out and they pay their stars like these ridiculous fucking contracts. I love Damian Lillard to death, but he will not be worth $60 million a year when he's 35 years old. It's an outrageously ridiculous fucking contract that I feel might hurt Dame in the future, but he's a star. He's a superstar right now, and that's what matters. But that's what I'm talking about. These fucking crazy contracts. You're saying that you want to win, but you're not doing the things that it takes to win. Like not using mid-level exceptions on good players, not making sure that you don't get players in return. Like you purposely don't go after a player, you get trash back so you won't have to pay more money. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, and then they won't rebuild because they need the fans to come into the arena. So it's like they want their cake and they want to eat it too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that type of mentality. And you can't have both, man. Like you're gonna save the money because like you're gonna have a bunch of young guys on rookie contracts. Like that's gonna save you a ton of fucking money, being a billionaire. Like you can't like want that and then like also expect your stadium to be filled at all fucking times. Like you're about to lose some games, my bro. Like that's why it's designed the way it is. Like if you are rebuilding, you are young, like the contracts are cheap. So like it supplements like the loss of some of the fucking like casual fans that only show up when the team's winning. And I get it, dude. Like fuck, man. Like, but those casual fans, like shit, the excitement. It's the casual fan that'll spend $100 at the fucking store. Like, oh, the excitement! My first basketball game. I'm about to spend a grip here. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's what you can count on.
Spends money on everything: the food, the merch, the
fucking beers that are fucking like I was about to say $9. I fucking wish like $12
They're
fucking
like
dollars.
almost $15 nowadays. Like
that ass.
It's ridiculous.
Shit, we might have to roll up a little bit of something else. Might have to roll up another blunt. But so. Like that's essentially to me like the perfect mix. Get a couple good young guys with great potential, that shown some flashes of some good shit. Get yourself a good recruitment department. Stress on a good workout routine, good culture, and future assets. To me, it's not so much talent. Like obviously, like if you could get like a Jordan Poole, like what the Wizards, like I'm telling you, like if that is, if that does end up finalizing because trades fall through, just like the Boston Celtics trade, the first initial trade, which would have just been another fucking catastrophe. Thank God did not go through. It saved his fucking ass because that would have just been the cream of the crop, dude. Like 2 shit trades in a row, but. You get a guy like Jordan Poole back, maybe, that's what Jordan Poole needed. Maybe his own fucking team.
Yeah.
Because, like, when he was starting and it was the Jordan Poole show, it was incredible. You know, when the attention kind of came off of him, like, where you at? He'd fucking disappear. He'd have games where he wouldn't even score 10 points. Talking about a guy that, like, go and splash a 30-footer in your fucking face and doesn't even hit double digits. It's crazy.
So what teams do you think this year are going to rebuild?
What teams do I think are going to rebuild? That's a good question. There's a couple teams that could possibly rebuild. There's Toronto. Fucking hate to say it. Possibly the Portland Trailblazers. Toronto, the Portland Trailblazers. You could see a possible rebuild. A further rebuild with the Utah Jazz. You know, where they just completely got their roster. I mean, from last time I heard, like, Lauri Markkanen was available and Colin Sexton was available. So that's a team that could just, you know, go into a further rebuild. Also, the Clippers could be a potential rebuild. So those three, the Portland Trailblazers, the Toronto Raptors, and the Clippers are all potential rebuilds. I would have said the Wizards, but they're already rebuilding. So the Clippers, it's been known. You know, Shams and Woj have both reported that the Clippers are open to discuss Kawhi Leonard and Paul George trades. You know, right now Fred VanVleet has opted out of his contract. They have spoken about OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam being available. So, you know, and then this right here, you know, I'm about to check, see what's happening right now. Okay, nothing's happened yet. And depending what happens here, if the Blazers keep the third pick, dude, I have a feeling that Dame is gone. It will break my fucking heart, dude. But I feel like Dame will leave. And that's what, like, a lot, like, the whole, like, Damian Lillard situation. The whole Damian Lillard situation is just, it's not what the media is going to say. The media is like, oh, this, trade him for that. Oh, like, Miami really needs to go and get him. Like, you know, Miami's package is the one that makes the most sense as far as, like, the Knicks can't. What the fuck are the Knicks going to give us? They don't have the picks. You're going to give Rudy Gobert away for 5 first-round picks. Donovan Mitchell, 5 first-round picks. Damian Lillard is better than both of those guys. I am sorry to say it. I am sorry to say it. So if you're going to get 5 first-round picks for those two guys, minimum you need to get.
Is that for 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah. For 5 years, you're getting that team's picks. Now, in Cleveland's and both Minnesota's, some of those picks come from other teams because of the LeBron James trade. And then as far as, like, Minnesota, they've acquired some trades from, you know, different teams. The Andrew Wiggins trade, you know, they made some trades to collect picks and future assets, and that's what they've used. But they've traded their future away. Rudy Gobert's a terrible fit for the fucking Timberwolves. It was absolutely terrible. Now the Cleveland's looking better. Now there has been recent reports that, like, Donovan Mitchell might be heading to New York. Now I wouldn't get that. Like, I think that the Knicks, I mean, shit, Donovan would be tight in New York. That'd be a whole fucking squad. That'd be a whole fucking squad. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think that he's happy in Cleveland. I think that they have a good thing going on. I think that they're one piece away from, like, really, really, really seriously contending. But, you know, You know, I want to spend a whole segment on the Damian Lillard situation because it's not what the fucking media is talking about.
I know he can go on for weeks about Damian Lillard. So
It's so complicated. There's not a lot of teams that could afford him. The best package right now, I will say, was Miami's package with Tyler Hero. But like, fuck, dude,
I don't know.
really
I
want
think that
Tyler Hero, and they don't have the picks. Like I said,
he's too loyal to
5.
Portland. I don't think he's gonna leave.
Well, he wants to win. He wants to win. And I want to see him win so bad in Portland. Oh my God, I want to see him win so bad in Portland. Like, it just, I mean, I would obviously love him in any other team, but, you know, and I would obviously stay, you know, a Blazer fan, whether he was on the team or not, but it's just, like, fuck, man. It'd be crazy to watch him, you know, win in another team. Oh, shit. I really do hope the shipwreck of the fucking Blazers get their shit together. God damn it. I wish fucking Phil Knight could just swoop from under us and fucking save us. But, and cheers to everybody that's watching right now.
Cheers.
Here. To that. Now, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I hope you guys got real high. Real buzz with us, because we is.
Yes.
We had an amazing time. Join us for next week's episode, where we're going to be going more in depth into the Damian Lillard discussion, talking about some of these draft prospects that some of these teams got, and we're going to, like I always say, talking a whole bunch of shit, smoking a whole lot of weed. I'm also going to be having a special guest for you guys. He is essentially... His father is a scientist that is essentially a weed expert. You know, part of my podcast is educating you guys further on the facts of cannabis and THC. So we're going to actually have a little segment where we're going to have him join us, and we're going to be talking about some weed, getting down to the nitty gritty, and we're going to be having a good ass time, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe below. And y'all have a good fucking night.
See ya.